Hi guys, good evening.
Hi, good evening, everyone.
So guys, welcome to Network Kings, and today is a day one for DevOps program. So let's wait for another 1 minute.
Hello, good evening, everyone. How are you all?
Yeah, hi Vikas, good evening. So because I think all join, we can continue, and I already announced that today's a day one for this DevOps master program. So over to you, yeah, and you'll continue with the topics.
Yeah, sure. So, guys, do let me know once my screen is visible to you, okay? So, I think my screen is visible.
Yes.
Okay. So, guys, the very first topic that we are going to discuss about DevOps is Git. So, why Git is so important that it is one of the, I would say, one of the very important topics of DevOps, although it seems to be very short topic, but it is very important in terms of DevOps technology, not in terms of only DevOps, in terms of any IT culture. DevOps, Git, which is a version control system, is very important. So let's give a scenario. Let's have a scenario is what happens generally. Uh, let's say right now there are few developers working in your organization. This is your developer one, okay? This is your developer two, and now what happens? Both of the developers are working on the, let's say, file one, and now what happens is both the developers are working on this file one. Now what happens? Let's say developer one make a change to this file, and at the same time developer 2 make another change to this file. Now, is it possible to track you such kind of a activity, that who has made what kind of a changes? Suppose if there is a, no DevOps culture, I would say, so is it easy for you to track such kind of a activity, that who has made those changes due to this particular issue arises? So the simple answer is no, because what will happen, let's say, if my this developer has made some changes to this particular file, and the same developer and another developer, or I would say not a developer, or I would say a DevOps engineer, or any IT guy who is working in your organization had made it to this file. Now what happens? This particular person has done the correct changes, whereas this person has made some wrong changes. Now due to these wrong changes, what happens? Your website got crashed, and now as being a DevOps engineer, it is your responsibility to identify that what has made such kind of a issue into this particular website. So that is why a thing called version control system arises in DevOps culture. Now if I talk about version control, there are generally different vendors available in the market for the version control. If I would say Git is there, we do have GitHub, we do have Bitbucket. uh, Different vendors are available. All of them are using the similar commands, all of them are using the same culture, all are having the same environment, but the difference is the cost. Because as being a DevOps engineer, it is not your responsibility to make, I would say, not only your responsibility to make your infra uh, in an automated way, it is also your responsibility ability that your infra should have, should provide you the maximum output with minimum cost. So that is why people generally use GitHub, which is one of the version control system, and generally it comes in two ways. One is enterprise and another one is community edition. But right now what happens, people are using majorly it into community edition. For your purpose, I would request you to just go with uh, community edition. Do not go with enterprise edition. So what you have to do for this is, let's say this is your on this URL, that is your www.github.com, you have to log in, and under this you have to provide your email ID. So once you provide your email ID here, let me just log out first. So this kind of a UI you are going to get. So what you have to do is you have to just sign in. So it is going to ask you about your email address or what the username you want to during the account creation. So the very first thing is you have to create your account. Okay, and so this is the account that this kind of a pop-up that you will get when you log in into this particular GitHub account. Now what we have to do furthermore is, and why we are going to use this particular thing. So I'll give you us another scenario. Let's say so first of all, let's go with the history of Git. So Git is generally created by a person named as Linus Torvalds. This person was responsible for creating Linux as well. So the same person, one day he was working on some issue and he encountered a problem that somebody has made some changes into a particular file on which he was also working. So from at that time he got an idea that we should have a version control system kind of a tool to be used in the IT industry, so that such kind of a conflicts can be removed, or the productivity can be improved with this. Okay, so in the, I would say, mid of 20s, this particular tool Git was launched. And the general goals of Git, what are the goals of Git? The very first thing is speed. Okay, apart from this, support for non-linear development. Let's say in a small organization, generally people are having 4 to 5 DevOps engineers, or I would say some other developers. But what about a big enterprise edition, or I would say enterprise company? There are n number of employees there, thousands of employees. So it is not easy for you to track each and everybody's code there. So that is why parallel branching concept is being used. What is parallel branching? We are going to discuss further in the coming minutes. Apart from this, it is fully distributed. Now what is distributed? We are also going to discuss. Apart from this, let's say it is also, it can this particular topic, that is, I would say, Git can handle large projects as well. How it can handle, we are going to discuss. So if you want to install Git, so what you have to do is you have to just either you are a Mac user or Linux user or Windows user, you can install Git either from this gitscm.com. So, or if you are a Mac user, what you can do, you can install in a way that I'm going to show you in some time. Apart from this, now VCS are generally of two types. Let's say if I talk about this VCS, so it is of two type. If I talk about the first one, VCS, version control system, are of two types. The first one is your centralized and another one is your distributed. So what is the difference between centralized and distributed? We are going to discuss. Generally, the approach that we are going to work is on the distributed version control system, not on centralized version control system. So the GitHub is an example of distributed version control system. Okay, so what it actually have, if I talk about the centralized version control system, generally this is an example. This is one of the diagram that can show you that what is the difference between the centralized VCS and what is the difference between distributed VCS. Let's say in centralized VCS, generally people are having a central repository server. Generally, this is your central repository server. All the codes or all the official copies are available onto this central VCS server, and this particular server is responsible for managing all the repos, all the history of the repos, you can say. It is responsible to manage all the checkouts. Okay, now what happens, suppose you took a branch from this particular VCS, and now what happened, you took a branch, let's say A and B. So once you're done, once you are done with your work, again you have to log in, or again you have to check in back to the central VCS server. But this is a little bit, I would say, con of using such kind of a VCS system. Whereas let's say this is your distributed VCS. Now what the distributed VCS is going to do, let's say if I give you an example of distributed VCS, now what you have to do is, this is your distributed VCS, and under this distributed VCS, this is your a single server over here. Now what happens, let's say a user A came, he took a download or a clone from this VCS. A user B came, he cut his own branch. A user C came, he cut his own branch again. Now what happens, when all of the users have completed with their work or are done with their work, now what they are going to do is, they are going to push their changes to this particular VCS server, or I would say GitHub account, or you can say GitHub repository. This person is also going to do the same thing, and this person is also going to do the same thing. Now what will happen, all the changes, let's say change A, change B, and change C, whatever the changes are done by each and every user are available here. Okay, now what will happen, it is very easy for you to track that who has made the changes. How we can track that, I'm going to show you in some time on this. Apart from this, now what will happen after this, people are going to say that whether user A can access the changes of user B, or user B can access the changes of user C. The answer is yes. How? Because each and every distributed, or I would say VCS system, is having a main branch. Main branch, people consider it as a main branch, or you can call it as a master branch as well. Now what will happen, whatever the changes that you are doing into this server are available in the master branch. Now what will happen, next time when you are taking a download for the, let's say B is again taking a download for this, now the latest changes which are applied, let's say C is the person who has applied the latest changes, those changes can be seen by user A as well, user B. Why? Because they have taken the download of these particular changes. How they have done, think there is some issue with my whiteboard. Let me use the online whiteboard for today only. Okay, so I was on a point where, let's say, the best example to show you, this is your Git server. Okay, now here you have all the this is your master branch, or I would say this is your main branch. Whatever you want to say, you can say this. Now what happened, let's say user A came here, there is another user B, user C, and user D. All of the users are authenticated with this particular master branch. Now what happened, the very first time they have to take a clone. Very first time I'm saying clone. Again this user will take a clone. This user also going to take a clone. Now what is clone, I'm going to show you in some time. Again this user is going to take a clone. Now what happens, let's say user A is working on a file F, and on the line 1 he has made changes. User B has made changes on line 2, user C has made changes on line 3, user D has made some changes on line 4. So when all the users once done with their work, okay, and now if they want to push, now they have to push their changes to this particular central, or I would say repository server. So once they made a push, Now all the changes, whatever the changes are done on the file, let's say 1 2 3 4, will be updated here. Now again, next time what will happen, let's say if a user came, let's say a user E come here, he take a very first time, he has to take a clone. So once he has taken the clone, now what will happen, the changes which are done by user 1 2 on the file 1 2 3 4 line number will be available for this person as well. And now you can imagine the same scenario with the n number of employees. Generally in this manner an IT organization works, where on day-to-day basis people are doing some changes into their code, people are doing some changes into their software, they are pushing their changes into this master repository, or I would say main repository. Once those changes are done, then whatever the development is going to be happen at the last stage are all the codes, all the files, all the whatever say plain text you are implementing will be taken from this master server only. I'm not concrete saying that this is the I mean changes are going to be taken from the master branch. Branch can be varied from name to name according to organization. Let's say development is the final branch, let's say A is your final branch, B is your final branch, but your changes should be pushed to the final branch to make your changes applicable. So guys, just wanted to know if you have any queries, you are free to ask on this so that we can proceed further. I think no queries as of now. Okay, so generally what happens, Git.
Hey.
Yeah, please tell me.
Yeah, the thing is, the previous slide, that whiteboard, can you share that once again?
Yeah. Oh, I think it's screen. Yeah, please tell me. I'll try to answer it.
No issues. See, you shown that 4 users were using simultaneously.
Yeah.
Okay, right? They are doing an independent job.
Yes.
But when one of the guy has to do a interlinked one, means the line 1 is interlinked with the line 3. Imagine that.
Mm-hmm.
So if the line 1 is complete, then only he can execute his work. In that scenario.
Okay. So what I'm getting from your question is, let's say I'll try to draw it again. Okay. This is your Git server. Okay. And let's say user A is, user B is here, user C is here, and we do have user D, and all of them has worked on to a particular file, let's say 1 2 3 and 4, correct?
Yep.
And your answer is, let's say if user B is working on line number 1, so once he's done with his work, then only user C can work on the line number 2, correct?
Yep.
Okay, so the scenario here is I think Suman, you have asked this question.
Yeah.
Okay, so the scenario here is, this is one of the examples. Let's say the very first time I just forgot about the user ABCD. The very first time, suppose there is any user here, he has created some file, then there are some n number of lines available in that, and now what happened, your manager came to know that the changes which are done on the line number 1 is not appropriate according to your organization code. Okay, so now he answer you, or he checks with user C and ask, hey, can you please make a change on the line number 1? So he will ask any of the user just to take a pull from this repository and make a change on the line number 1. I'm not saying that they are working in a constructive manner. Each and every person is doing their own work. Very first time, definitely there is some file here, because let's say I'll give you a scenario where 4 DevOps engineers are working in an organization, and I ask any of the DevOps engineer, let's say I'll ask DevOps engineer A, hey, can you please create me a script which can take a backup of the MySQL? So once the task is assigned to this user only he is going to work, correct? Not others are going to work on this. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, so now once this user has completed his script, then he pushed his changes to Git server. Now let's say after some time, DevOps engineer B wants to make some changes into this existing script, he is going to make changes into that, because each and every person at the very first time are not going to work on a single file the file which is not being created yet, because one person is going to create a single file. Let's say if he has completed with his work, then if there is some kind of improvements are there, then he's going to work on that. And just forget about the file. Let's say if I give a task to create file 1 to this user, file 2 to this user, file 3 to this user, or file 4 to this user, now all the files are separate, correct? Now let's say if a DevOps engineer E come and he is going to take a clone of this particular and now once these files are created, all of them has merged their changes to this Git repository. Okay, now once the changes are done, this DevOps engineer is going to have all the 5 files in his local server or local system, I would say. I think that has answered your question. If you have, you are free to answer.
Yeah, it's clear. It's clear now.
Okay, so generally what Git generally works in a manner, so Git generally works in a manner of snapshots. I would say, let's say this is the similar thing. Let's say user A has given made some changes, user B has made some changes, C has made some changes, D has made some changes. Now when user E or a new user came and he is going to take a clone of this Git server, or I would say Git repository, then all the changes which are done by user A, B, C, D, E will be available to this particular new user as well. So in this manner, we can say that Git takes its own snapshot. Snapshots means taking a copy of the work that we have done. Okay. Now there are 3 kind of areas in Git. What are the areas? It is very important for you to know about this. What are the 3 kind of areas in Git? I'll okay, I think I can remove this particular. Okay. So let's say this is your Git server or Git repository. Okay, now user A is here. Just divide this diagram into 3 different lines. Okay, 1, that is your line 2, and that is your line 3. Now what will happen? Let's say if this particular user, let's say, is working on some file A, B, C, and he has, now again it is very important to know for you, this Git repository will be remote. Remote means you are whatever the changes you are pushing, those changes will be available onto this GitHub account. These changes, you can have these changes on your local as well, but the end should be the remote repository. Okay, now what let's say if this particular user has made some changes to ABC file. Now there are 3 kind of stages. This is your stage 1, this is your stage 2, and this is your stage 3. Okay, now the very first thing is your working directory. Okay, or we can say unmodified or modified files. Now this is your layer 1, which is your modified or unmodified files, or people can say it as working directory as well. Okay, working directory as well. Now whatever the changes you have made on this stage, okay, those will not be available here. Why? I'll going to tell you about that as well. Those are not going to be available here, because to make those changes applicable onto your remote Git repository, you have to make some other efforts as well. Okay, then there is another thing called staged area. Now what is staged area? Let's say you have made some changes to this file ABC. Now you run a command which is called git add. Okay, and now what you have made your changes into the staged file onto this particular thing. Now what will happen? the changes that you have made to this file, and once you have done git add, then those will be available for your staging area. What is staging area? I'll go that will be clear when we are going to do a practical session on this. Okay, another thing is your commit. Now what commit is, this is your, now this is your staged file areas. Okay, again let's say now again when you are going to work on, let's say, file C and D, you have made those some changes, you have not done git add till yet. At this time your file is in modified or unmodified state. Once you have done git add, then it is going to be staged file again. Now what you have done, you have run a command git commit. Okay, so now you are on a stage 3. Stage 3 means your changes are committed and it is ready to push to the remote server. Okay, and at the last stage what you have to do, you have to done a git push. So once you done the git push, what it is actually going to do, it is going to upload your changes, local changes, to the remote repository. Okay, now these changes are available for the production, or I would say for the end results. Again, if another user come, let's say user B come, when he is going to take a pull or download, all the changes which are made by user A on this file ABC and CD will be seen by this user as well. Okay, so in this 3 layers, generally we made our changes to the remote repository, or we push our changes to the remote repository. Any questions? Okay, so
Hi, Vikas, Suman again.
yes, Suman.
Now you are saying that when there is a pull, clone is created, right?
Clone is created at the very first time when you are taking a download of a repository, I would say. From the next time, let's say this user come B, very first time he has to do clone, and after that whatever the download he want to take, he has to do git pull.
So every time, I mean, a user for the first time, when he accesses file, a clone is created.
You have to take a clone. You have to run a command that is called git clone and your git repository.
Okay. And from there on, whenever I work, it will be on that clone only, right?
You have to then after that, whenever you work, you have to do a command that is git pull, not git clone every time.
Okay.
Just allow me some more time. Once we are going to start the practical implementation of it, right now I'm just detailing about the concept of it. Once we are going to start,
okay, fine.
Yeah. So this is the git flow, which is your modify, stage and commit that we have already discussed. Okay, now there are some commit checksums. What is commit checksums and all those, I'll going to show you. Okay, so the very first time, let's say we are going to install the git onto our Linux server. So I'm going to install a git onto my cloud server. I'm creating a cloud server for this. Don't worry on this, we are going to work on this as well. We are going to create our cloud servers. No need to worry on this. Okay, so I'll create a name as git test. Okay, this is the name of the server that I'm doing. Okay, this is the server image, or I would say I'm choosing Amazon Linux type of a server. Okay, now I have to select a key. Let's say I'll do one thing. I'll create a key with the name as git. So I'll create the key pair.
Git server is always based on this Linux platform, or we can choose the window as well.
You can choose the window as well.
Okay, fine.
But it is good for you if you are doing lot of practice on Linux. Why? Because at the end of the day, you have to work on Linux for a DevOps, for being a DevOps engineer. Okay. So I'm just creating my server. So a server is getting created. Right now it is in pending state. Okay. So let me just the protocol that we have to use for taking a access of the Linux server is SSH. Okay, I am giving my key path as well. That is, this is the key I'm using right now. The default user should be EC2 for Amazon. Okay, so this is my server. Let me change the host name of this server. Git_test. Okay. Now, let's say right now I'm going to show you that we do not have Git installed on this server because this is a newly created server. So first of all, what we have to do is we are going to update our instance. Let's say this is the method of installing Git on Linux server. Okay, then we have to, and this is on I would say CentOS flavor. For the Ubuntu flavor, there is a little bit change in the method. Apart from this, the concept is completely same. So right now you can see this, the Git version 2.3.9 has been installed. Okay, what I have done, I have instructed my yum server to install Git. Okay, so after this, what we have to do is, now there are two kind of approaches right now. Either I should clone an existing repository. Okay, so let's do that thing. This is my account, and this is the repository I have. If I go into this here, if I have to switch on to the repository, this is the similar almost the similar kind of a access you are going to have in your organization. Okay, so if I go onto this particular repo, right now, if I'm not wrong, nothing has been created for this repo. Let me just, now there are two kind of approaches available for you for cloning a repository. One is HTTPS, another one is your SSH. Generally people you can use any of the method, but I'm going to use the SSH method. The very first command that we are going to do right now is we are going to cloning our repository. Okay, so git clone. Okay, so I do not have my keys available. What I'll do is I'll just try to do HTTPS method git clone this one. So it's an empty repository. Let me just create a new repository over here. I'll go into repository. I'll go into new. I'm giving the name for this repository. Let's say git new test. Okay, this should be public, although it is not public in the organizations. Okay, and I'll add a readme file. I'll create a repository. Now for this, git clone. This is the repository. I have cloned the repository. If you see here, you can see I have cloned a repository that we have created, git new test. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll go into the git new test repository. New test repository. I'm switched into this repository. The readme file we have taken from the console, from this UI only. Now, if I show you, okay, the very first command that you are going to use over here is the git clone. Git clone means you are taking a clone of an existing repository. Okay, it means you are taking the initial download and you are initiating your git to have the download of the repository URL that you have given. Okay, now the question can be that from where we are going to get this URL. Then what you have to do in the organizations, you have to log in into the git console and you have to go onto this particular thing that is called code, and you have to copy this and run a command git clone. Okay, so once you have done that, that particular folder will be available. Now you have to check that which branch is on which branch right now you are. So you have to execute a command that is called git branch. So it says that right now you are on the main branch. Right now you are on the main branch. In the chapter I have told you that you are going to have either the master branch name or the main branch. This should be your end branch. Okay, now you have to create your own branch. So before that, I would like to ask any questions from you guys, or I can proceed. Hello.
Proceed.
Okay,
Any,
okay, so what you have to do, let's say you want to create your own branch. So this star means you are on this branch. For creating a branch, what you have to do, git checkout -b. -b means create a new branch. I'll give a name as Vikas test. Okay, so it says that switched to a new branch, this one. Now I'm going to demonstrate to you one more thing onto this checkout branch only. What you have to do, you have to verify on which branch right now you are. So it says that right now you are git branch named as Vikas test. You can again go onto this branch. Now there is a question. Earlier we have used the command git checkout -b and the branch name. Here we do not use the -b option. The reason is whenever you are using git checkout with option -b, actually firstly it is creating your branch, new branch, and then switching you to the newly created branch. For an example, when you again going to see the branch, right now we are on the main branch. When I create a branch, let's say git checkout -b test _abc. Now when you check the branch, we are right now on to test abc branch. Again, guys, please remember, whatever the changes you have to push your at the end, you have to push your changes onto the master branch. How you are going to do that? I'm going to show you this as well. Okay, so my question is, can we switch from test abc branch to Vikas test branch, or we can only switch between master and the sub branches? So the answer is we can switch from any branch to any branch, irrespective of that we have to be on the main branch and then only we can switch. No, we can switch from any branch to any branch. Let's say if I am going to show you how we are going to switch, get checkout. If I'm going to this, now we have switched to a branch which is named as Vikas test. Example, this is, now we are on this branch. Now question is, what if we need to delete any of the branches? So the answer is git branch hyphen capital D, the branch name. Okay, so first of all, I'll delete this branch. Okay, now if I run a command, you can see there are only 2 branches available right now. No third branch is here. Why? Because we have deleted this particular branch from our local system. So my question here is, the branches that we are creating on our local system or our local server, will those branches be available on our master server as well? Because right now you can see there are no branches available here.
No.
Okay, so what we have to do is, we for just having our branches on the remote repo as well, we have to push our changes. So what we'll do for pushing the changes, we are going to use the thumb rule. Very first thing is, we are going to check that whether git pull origin means the main from where we want to get the updated code. It says that the branch is already updated. Git add this one. Okay, now when you see git status, it says that there is on branch nothing to commit. Okay, because we have not created a file. Let's say I'll create a file into the branch name as Vikas. Let's say I'll create touch. I'm creating a branch vikas.txt. Okay, so I have created this file onto my local server, onto my local system, and this is right now not available here. Okay, so git, I have to check what are the changes are tracked or not. It says that vikas.txt is an untracked file. So to track it, we have to use the command git add space dot. Okay, so instead of dot, you have to provide the location of the file. I have provided the location because right now I'm working on the parent directory, so that is why I have used this command only. Again, you have to check the status. It says that this file is right now on your stage 2nd. This file is right now on your stage 2nd. Okay, earlier it was in stage 1, right now it is on stage 2nd. Then git add git, we have to commit this. Okay, git commit -m. -m means I am appending a message that what the thing I'm going to do. So why this particular messaging thing is important? It is because so that you can get an hint that what are the changes done into your git repository. It is not mandatory to provide the message, but you can implement this thing in your git, that it is mandatory to provide the message or some tags with it. But right now as a default it is not mandatory. Okay, so I'm just giving a command git commit -m created new file. Okay, this one. So it says that I have to configure my email ID and username. Okay, I'll do this. So I'll just do one thing. I'll provide as, and I'll give the username. So now when I do a push, okay, the commit has been done. you can see when I'm going to see the git status, it says that right now nothing is available for you to push. Okay, now what we have to do is git push. It says that you have to run this command for the very first time because we have to set our upstream username. I have to give okay. Okay, so I need to make some changes onto this, no issues. I'll just do those changes. So I have to add my keys as well. Okay. Then thing, add commit delete. Okay. Right now I'm facing some issue in pushing the thing because okay, I have to use my token. Just stopping share my screen. Just a second.
घर पे अभी तक बैठा तू? निकल अभी तू, निकल। 5 बजे गाली करना, गाली खाना पड़ता है। कौन?
Guys, I think I'm facing some issue. I'll just show you some time about this. Okay, so after this, what we have to do right now, I'm not able to push the things. I will have to check my account. But once we made a push, what will happen? We will get our new branch here, and after that, we have to merge our branch with the main branch so that our changes can be applicable to the end branch. I'm going to show you in some time or in the next class, because right now I'm facing some issue. Let's go on to the slides. Okay, so this is the initial Git configuration that we have done. We have set our username and email. Okay, then this is the scenario. Let's say we are using a command git add for just adding our file, the commit message that we are doing. Okay, now these are the different git commands available. These are some of the git commands available right now, which can be used for the git operations. The very first command is your git clone, where we have to provide our URLs. I have already told you that, right? Generally, two kind of approaches are available. One is your SSH and another one is your HTTPS. Okay, now question can be asked to you that on which port this SSH and on which port this HTTPS things work. So your answer to this 22 port is used for SSH and 443 port is used for HTTPS. Apart from this, these two things. Okay, now then what you have to do is, let's say there is a thing called git commit. So what it is actually going to do, it is recording a snapshot into the staging area. Okay, that I have already shown you. And you, if you have to check the status of your git, let's say how this particular git is working. Let's say if you have made any changes, I'll show you one of the things. Let's say right now I am on the branch, this branch. So let me create another branch, git checkout -b. Okay, git checkout -b, and I'm creating another branch abc_text. I have created to a new branch. Okay, and git status, or I would say if I choose the git branch, so it says that right now I'm on to abc test branch. So my question to you, earlier I was on the branch Vikas test, and now I have switched to the branch Vikas test. Okay, so the changes which are available in main will be shown to abc_test or not?
No. No. No.
Why?
We have to push, then after it will reflect on the main file.
Correct. For that, what you have to do is you have to push your changes to the main branch. And once you are creating a branch, let's say abc_test, and earlier you were in Vikas_test. So whatever the changes are available under this Vikas test will be seen. So for checking these changes, you have to run a command git pull origin and main. So this command shows that you are pulling something from the main branch. Instead of main, if you need to pull something from Vikas test branch, you can also have that thing. Let's say I'll show you the branch right now. Here is this one, git branch. Okay, and git checkout. I'll create another branch. Let's say touch abc 123, and if I go into git checkout main, I am switched to my main branch, but these changes which I'm getting here are only on my local system. These changes are not on my remote server. So what I have to do, I have to push those changes, then I have to take a pull. So there is a thumb rule available. People do not say that it is a thumb rule, but for me it is very good practice. Whenever you are doing the git operations, you have to be in that manner. The very first thing is you have to the very first thing what you should do, git pull origin and your remote branch, okay, from where you are pulling. Okay, after that what you should do, git add. Once you have added your thing, then do git commit -m and the changes that you are doing. Okay, after that, before pushing, it is a very good practice if you are doing git pull origin main, or I would say master. Why? Because let's say this time it was around 10:20 p.m. This time you have made some changes at around 10:21 p.m. Now if after some time you are doing some work and it took you around 10:30 p.m. to make some to commit your changes, and now if you directly push the changes, let's say what will happen before this step, if you do this thing git push, okay, now what will happen, the changes which are done after 1020 will not be available for you, and there will be a little bit conflict that your master branch can be behind your existing branch. Okay, or I would say your your master branch can be behind your existing branch. So it is good practice if you do a git pull every time before doing a git push. So once you are done with the git push, again, if new person came, you have to follow these steps. So in this manner, generally you have to be you have to approach your git pull and push mechanism. Guys, getting my point? Or you have any doubts, you are free to ask now.
My question is, when when you make all the changes and
Mhm.
then you I mean you have to pull before pushing it. I mean, what I can understand that you have to push and then you have to pull.
No, what you have to do is, uh, let's say, okay, I'll show you this scenario. Okay, this one here, let's say I have made the very first thing I have done, git pull origin main. Okay, this is the very first time, or I would say, let's say beginning of my day, I have done this command, git pull origin main. Means I have taken the download of all the latest changes which was done on the let's say I have logged in into my shift around 10 a.m. So whatever the changes are done before 10 a.m. are already available on my local system. Now what you are doing is, let's say you are creating a file txt. Okay, or I would say you are creating a file txt. Now my question is, will those txt changes is available in your master or remote branch?
No.
No. Then what you have to do is git add. Okay, then git commit message. Okay, then what you have to do is, you have to, before this, it is good practice if you are taking the pull, because let's say I was working on this file at around 10 a.m. at 10, due to some work, or I was making some changes, the commit I have taken at around 10:15. So between that 15 minute, there will be a possibility that someone has made some changes and merged those changes with my master branch, correct?
Yeah,
So
I got it now.
yeah, so once you are pulling it, you are getting the latest changes. So once you push again your changes, so when a next person is working, or again when you are need to work after some time, first of all you should take a pull so that you can have the latest changes. Okay, so
Yes.
this is the thumb rule of git generally that you should follow in the coming future. So I'm not sure, guys, who among you who is having the I just wanted to know who is having the AWS or any cloud account with them.
I am having the AWS account.
Okay, so those who are not having any AWS or cloud account, so it is my humble request for them to just create a any cloud vendor account uh, with them, so that they can do the practice on regular days, or regular sessions they can do the practice. And apart from this, please create your GitHub account, because what will happen, we are taking this training in terms of not only just training, I would say we are taking it in a project way. Let's say if you have made some created some things, let's say when after some time when we are working on Terraform, let's say after some time when we are working on Ansible, so whatever the files that you are creating, please try to push them onto your GitHub account. Why? Because you can use that account on your resume as well, and you can show your work, what you have done. Let's say you have spin up some infra using the Terraform modules, you have spin up some infra using some Ansible, you have created some I would say very good scripting. So it is a very good way of yours to show what the work you have done at your own. Okay, so that is why please create your GitHub account, please create your any cloud account, because cloud is very important if you want to become a DevOps engineer. Okay, Now, back to the topic. So before this, I just wanted to know, guys, any kind of a queries you have, you can ask me now.
Sorry, may I know your name, please?
My name is Vikas.
Okay, Vikas. Will you please share this document after the lecture?
Yeah, sure. I will show, no issues on that.
Yeah, okay. I'm at work at the moment, and it's almost just afternoon here in my country.
No issues.
So I can't write down anything.
No issues. I'll show you this. I'll provide you this document as well. Now,
Thank you.
okay. So apart from this, guys, now question here is, there is a thing called git log. Okay. Now what git log is actually going to tell you? It is going to tell you that who has made those changes at what time and what is the commit ID of that particular thing. Let's say this is the latest changes. So this head count means this is the latest change or the last commit that is being done on your repo. Okay. So let's say this was my initial commit. After that, it was on to this commit ID. So why this commit ID is so important for you to trace? Let's say I'll give you a scenario. Okay. I'll show you a scenario. So let's say this is your application abc.com. Okay. abc.com. Now let's say it is running fine, and after some time, what happens when you are trying to hit this particular website on browser, it is giving you some error, let's say 503 service unavailable. And once you do some debugging, you came to know that latest changes has done into the code. Okay, latest changes are done into the code. Let's say these are different. I'm just giving you a four users, but let's say it is let's say 100 users has made latest changes to this master branch. Okay, so with the latest commit, let's say 2 days back it was around 10 commits are here onto your website, and now 2 commits are here. So with the latest commit ID, you can actually check that who has made the changes due to which my website is not working. This is the importance of using having a commit ID. You can track that what are the changes done, and let's say if you need to take a dig into your code from a particular day or from a particular commit ID, because this kind of approaches can be very helpful when you are doing the debugging. Okay, you want to see that who has made those changes, so you can check, and what are the changes being done, you can also check that. So on the basis of this commit ID, you can get an idea that due to this particular thing, my code is not working and my website or my software is not working right now. So this is the use case. So git merge, git merge is generally for merging your one branch with the another branch. Git tag is for providing a tagging. Now reset, init, these are some. So, okay, git init command is a command which generally being used whenever you have installed a, let's say you are creating a very new git repository. So at the very first time you required git init. Okay, we have not used it because we have taken a clone of an existing repository. Okay, and after that, this is done. Logs is done. This is done. Okay, so generally, guys, you are going to be asked a question that what is Git and how it is. Let's say you are going to get the examples that what is the difference between Git clone and what is the difference between Git pull and Git clone. What is the difference between Git fetch and Git clone? What is the difference between Git rebase and Git merge? So such kind of interview questions that you can face. There is a one important question that you might face in the interview. Let's say what is Git conflict. So let's say at the same time, some persons are working on the same file and they have done the commit at the same time. So in such scenarios, you can get a Git conflict. So we are going to discuss about Git conflict as well. After that, once you are very much well versed with Git conflict, we are going to work on our coming chapters, let's say Jenkins. So whatever the code that you are pushing, how that particular code is being used in Jenkins and applied to your infra, we are also going to work on this. That will be a complete prod scenario. Okay. And after that, let's say if you the very first thing that I have already told you, please create your GitHub account. If you face any issues, you can ask me at any time. You can ask me in the coming classes that I tried to create an account, but I was not being able to create it. We can figure it out why it is not being created. After that, let's say, there will be a scenario where I'm going to ask you, can you please give me your GitHub URL? Because from today we are going to we can start working from your GitHub URL. We can push into your GitHub URL. So all these things. So what we are going to cover up in the coming chapters, I would say. So in the coming chapters, today we have discussed about Git installation. Okay. Git basic commands we have discussed. Then we are going to work on the let's say Git branching. I have already given a basic of the Git branching, but we are going to work more in detail about the Git branching. Then we do have Git stash, Git pull. So pull, I would say merge and pop. Then we can say stash. We can say log, tagging, reset. Reset, there is two things available. One is your hard reset, another one is your soft reset. Apart from this, how you can implement the securities on your GitHub account. Let's say when you go into the settings, there is an n number of security options you have. How you are managing your SSH keys, or how you are accessing your GitHub account. Apart from this, let's say if you made some push, okay, then and you try to merge that thing, it should not be merged once you got a PR for that. Okay, so all these are the broad scenarios, and we are going to cover up all those things. So and then let's say differences in different all the commands, differences of commands. Okay, so those things you can face in your interviews. After that, let's say there's a Git conflict concept. Okay, how we can undo our changes. So we are going to work on all these changes. Apart from this, I'm not recalling it right now, but apart from this, if any particular thing left, we are also going to discuss about Git, about that in the Git topic as well. So just wanted to know if you have any questions, you can ask me now. Okay, I think no questions are here. Okay,
I have one question. Sorry. Actually, I am very new to this cloud and DevOps. Okay, I don't have any much knowledge in this. So, if you want to access cloud, so for practicing these sections, so is that free or is it chargeable monthly?
Okay, so it is free up to some time. Okay, just a second. I'll just give an answer to you in a minute. I forgot to give the Git ignore concept. I'll also add it. So related to the cloud, okay, so each and every cloud gives you 1 year free access. Okay, 1 year free access. So what you have to do is, once, let's say I have created this particular server onto my AWS account. So once I'm done with my AWS account, it is my responsibility to stop my resources. Because if I'm not going to stop my resources after my use, then after, let's say, AWS gives you 750 hours of free access. Okay. So after that, you are going to be charged for that. So that is why you can see this here. I have created t2.micro account, which is a free one. So do not worry on this, because all of the things are going to be covered in this particular section as well. That how we can access the things. And apart from this, I would say, if I talk about the percentage of the cloud vendors available in the market, then majority of the companies are working on AWS. Then people are working on Microsoft and GCP. So in this manner, generally cloud companies or cloud vendors are available in the market. But as per me, no cloud is I would say hard or easy to because each and every cloud is having almost the same services, although the name of the services are different, but the concepts behind all the services are same. So it is totally up to on you on which service you want to on which particular cloud you want to work, but I would suggest you to go with AWS as of now.
Okay.
Yeah,
thank
Varun, you were saying something?
Oh, sorry, by mistake, I just told.
Okay, no issues. So yeah,
So
this
like we can just Google it to get that URL, right? Like Amazon Cloud Services, like that. We can
yeah,
Google
yeah,
it. So
yeah, what you have to do, you have to run a command console.aws.amazon.com. Or
okay,
what you can,
okay.
yeah, or what you can do, you just go onto the Google and just type Amazon Cloud. So it will give you a URL, and it will ask you to register yourself. So once you are registered, you can access those resources.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Hi, Vikas, Suman here again.
Yes, Suman.
I would like to have a one-on-one with you.
Yeah, sure.
So, Soman, what I'll do, I'm from networking, so I'll just give you a call tomorrow, and let's have a discussion with the Vikas directly. Okay.
Done.
Yeah. Thank you.
And apart from these topics, we are also going to have more details on Git vendors. I would say not Git vendors, I would say SVN vendors. Sorry, yeah, VCS vendors. We are going to have a detail on this, that what are the VCS vendors available right now in the market, and which one is the licensing model, which one is not having the licensing model, how the companies are generally working. If we talk about Git, how they are integrating their resources with the Git. So into this particular into this particular course, we are going to work in that manner only. This is the very first Git. I would say this is the very first DevOps technology which we have learned today. And yeah, please tell me.
Hi, Vikas. This is Vaibhav.
Yeah, Vaibhav.
Actually, I wanted to ask, like, if in this course only AWS will be explored and not Azure.
Yeah, so in this course, AWS will be explored because, as I have already told you, because it is, as per my perception, it is very easy to use. So because right now in this particular course, we are not only working with the pro persons, I would say we are also here with the persons who are very new to this technology. So it is my responsibility to make themselves very much comfortable. So that is why I'm taking AWS here, so that they can easily understand.
Yeah, okay. So, like Docker and Kubernetes, Terraform, look, those like what the market is required now, right now. Those topics all will be covered, right?
Yes, those topics will be covered. I think Networkings team has already connected with you related to the topics. I'll also give you a gist on this technologies. Let's say Linux, Cloud, Git, Jenkins, Kubernetes, Docker, Terraform, Ansible, monitoring technologies. All of the things are going to be covered into this particular course, and
Okay.
it will be completely prod based scenarios.
There'll be end-to-end projects, right? Like hands-on projects.
I would not say that end-to-end hands-on project like each and every organization is having their own product, but whatever I'm going to give you in training, that will be completely prod scenarios, and the questions, or I would say the project that we are going to create, that will be also I would say company prod based scenarios. That will be on prod based scenarios as well.
Okay. Actually, myself, actually, I worked as a QA before, like for close to 1 year, 3 months. Now, I moved into Azure DevOps in my current organization. But I don't have like extensive amount of knowledge. I just passed AZ900 exam and I have like basic understanding of it. So I wanted to learn more and like make a switch in next 6 months. So if it will be sufficient for me to learn like for like what my market requires if I switch with a 2 years experience in hand.
Okay, so my personal suggestion to you, if you are a AZ certified engineer, so what you can do is whatever the technologies that I'm showing you here related to cloud, you can do the similar practice on Azure as well, because I am going to show these technologies on AWS. So what you will do, you will have the two clouds knowledge with you. When you are completed with the course, you will have two knowledges. One is your Azure that you are exploring by your own, that how we can implement those things on Azure. Another thing is that how AWS things are actually working. So and apart from this, only the cloud chapters can be different from Azure. Apart from this, all the technologies will be the same that you are going to use in Azure as well. Let's say Ansible, you can use in any of the clouds. Let's say Terraform, you can use with any of the cloud. Kubernetes, you can use with any of the cloud. Docker. So these are the technologies that you can work with any of the clouds, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
And like regarding programming side, I'm very weak. Like I don't know much. Like, will that be an issue?
So for a beginner level, I'm not saying it is not going to be an issue. It can be an issue, but you have to be good in for this particular course. I'm not saying you have to be good in programming, but for being a DevOps engineer, you should be good in programming. I'm not saying not excellent, but you should understand the concepts that we are also going to cover. We do have a shell scripting topic as well in this training, so we are going to cover up those things as well.
Yeah. Okay.